I can still recall the exact moment I asked my wife that question. We were in the living room, and I had just returned from meeting a colleague. During our conversation, he handed me his phone to show me something. As I scrolled, my hand froze. There it was, a picture of my wife. Not an ordinary photo, but something intimate, something that felt private, something she should never have shared with anyone else. My pulse quickened. A heavy wave of dread swept over me, and I knew there was no way I could ignore it. When I got home, she was curled up on the couch, casually scrolling through her own phone as if nothing in the world was wrong. I stood there, holding my breath, and finally asked, "Why is your picture on his phone?" The words hadn't even finished leaving my mouth before her face drained of color. She froze, her fingers trembling, lips parted as if searching for an excuse that wouldn't come. She said nothing. That silence told me more than any words ever could. I pressed again, this time louder, demanding an explanation. "Why does he have your picture?" Still, no answer. She dropped her gaze to the floor, avoiding me completely. My chest tightened. I didn't need her confession. I could already feel the betrayal. That silence was the loudest admission she could have given me. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she whispered, "It's not what you think." But I had heard those words before, and they always meant one thing: lies. I urged her to explain, but she only shook her head, unable to string together a real sentence. In her eyes, I could see the panic, the collapse of the life she had built on secrecy. My own world had already shattered. I sat down, burying my face in my hands, trying to process the weight of it all. I had given this woman my trust, my love, my life. And yet, another man held something so personal of hers on his phone. The thought made me sick. She reached for me, trying to touch my arm, but I pulled away. The air between us was thick with tension. Even the ticking clock on the wall felt deafening, each second pounding like a hammer in my skull. Then came her excuse. In a broken whisper, she said, "I sent it by mistake." A mistake. That was her defense. I could hardly believe she thought I would swallow that. No one sends something that private by mistake. Piece by piece, the trust one had in her crumbled. I told her I wanted the truth, nothing but the truth. Her eyes welled with tears, and finally, she admitted she had been talking to him for some time. What began as casual conversations had crossed into dangerous territory. My heart sank. Suddenly, all the distant nights, all the excuses about being busy, all the moments she seemed absent, they snapped into focus. I didn't yell. I didn't smash anything. I just sat there in silence, the same silence she had given me when I first asked. The pain in my chest made it hard to even breathe. She begged for forgiveness, swearing it meant nothing, insisting she loved only me. But how could I believe that when her actions spoke otherwise? The rest of that night dissolved into tears and half-broken apologies. She pleaded. I stared at the wall, wondering how the life we built had come crashing down to this moment. My heart was being torn in two, the love I once had for her, and the reality of the betrayal now staring me in the face. Days slipped by, but I couldn't look at her the same way. Every time her phone buzzed, a knot twisted in my stomach. Each message notification felt like another blade digging in. Trust doesn't mend overnight, and in our case, it wasn't just broken, it was shattered into shards I doubted could ever be pieced back together. Eventually, I told her I needed space and moved into the guest room. Every night she knocked on the door, sobbing, begging me to talk. But I couldn't. I didn't even know if our marriage could survive this. Part of me wanted to walk away completely. Another part clung desperately to the memory of the woman she used to be before this. Even now, I can still hear my own voice echoing in my head. "Why is your picture on his phone?" And I see her frozen face, unable to answer. That silence will haunt me forever. It was the moment I realized the person I trusted most had become a stranger. In the end, I made my choice. I told her that love without trust means nothing, and I refused to stay in a marriage built on lies. I filed for separation. She begged me to reconsider, but I walked away. It wasn't easy, but I knew I deserved honesty and peace. Her silence gave me all the truth I needed. And with that, I closed the chapter of our story, for good.